playing. Okay, so I'm going to be this, and then the piano. Okay. Here we go. I'm Brother Jessie Quintanilla. I will be playing for you Frédéric Chopin's Nocturne in F minor. You may have heard his name pronounced Chopin, but that is not the case. That's not how you pronounce it. So in this nocturne, give me a few minutes to explain why I chose to play this nocturne for you. Just a quick little commentary from Brother Jessie. So earlier last year, I was volunteering at a hospital here in Denver. Around the time when the pandemic, the quarantine was beginning in Denver. So I attended to a few positive COVID positive patients. And some of the encounters, some of them were just simply hard to put to words, very difficult situations. So one day I remember driving back to the friary, to the friars, and listening to classical music in the car that I drive on the radio. I thought to myself, maybe there's a classical piano song that portrays the emotions that I experienced at the hospital dealing with COVID. And I remembered my piano instructor when I was a little kid telling me that there are a few composers, European composers, that wrote music during plagues. So I tried to remember who those were, but I could not remember. So I investigated, and I saw that Chopin, he lived during a cholera plague in Paris. And so in 1831, he was 21 years old, and he moved to Paris. The next year, there's this cholera outbreak in Paris. Actually, the hospital right in the middle of town, l'Hôpital Hôtel Dieu, according to the archives there, I quote, "The whole city smelled of a death-like odor and the streets crawling with hearses." So in other accounts, people write how there were corpses just lining the sides of the streets, and just this extreme odor. And imagine the scene: corpses on the roads, and at that time, the sewage water ran through the middle of the street, which was another reason why the plague spread so fast. So imagine that scene, and also imagine Chopin, how when he sees this driving through Paris, at the same time, Chopin, his engagement with Maria Wodzinska fails. So imagine that emotional struggle in Chopin. And Chopin is becoming he's becoming weaker and more ill, which we now know he died of tuberculosis. So imagine all of this happening in Chopin's mind, and he's still writing music, okay? So now this nocturne that I'm about to play for you was written around 10 years later after that scene, and you can hear the struggle in Chopin, that emotional baggage that he's carrying, seeing himself weak, seeing others, seeing the world around him. And so I want you in this piece to listen to the left hand, listen to those very low pitch sounds. It's quiet. It's very quiet on the left hand. It's very steady. Boom, boom, boom. So listen to that left hand. It's almost like a haunting, terror-filled sound, but not overly haunting. And at the same time, actually later in the piece, the right hand, there's this part in the nocturne, which you'll notice, it's very obvious. The right hand begins to get faster and increases tempo, and it's moving higher on the register, higher in pitch, to the point where it's aiming to something, and you'll notice this, and it's aiming to this one last chord in the nocturne, which is played 4 times, and each time it's played getting softer. But when that last chord in the whole piece is played, you should perceive a feeling of peace or some hope, some goal that is reached. So, for example, there's this a German composer, Theodor Kullak. He comments on this Chopin nocturne. I lived around the same time period as Chopin, and I quote, "On this last chord, it is as if it says, 'Thank God, the goal is reached,'" end quote. And what I'm trying to get here is that there is a goal that we are aiming towards in this pandemic, either an end to this pandemic or the quarantine. But as Catholics, there is an ultimate goal. Just read Revelation. See the imagery in Revelation, how we'll see God in his radiant beauty. So our ultimate reward is that union with God, that beatific vision, that perfect awareness that you are in union with God. That is our hope that we will reach. So live and act towards that hope, towards that goal. And when you listen to this piece, have this in mind. And so please enjoy this delicate piece that Chopin has written for us. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied with that. It felt a bit long, but it was fine. Cool. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we'll end with that. Cool. Now let's get all this machinery